My chosen one, stop for a moment and listen to me carefully, because what I am about to say will break chains that have been silently controlling your life for years. This message is urgent. I did not bring you here by accident. I interrupted your day because your spirit has been carrying a burden that heaven can no longer remain silent about. You have spent too much of your life shrinking yourself so other people would feel comfortable around you. You lowered your voice so insecure people would not feel threatened. You hid your gifts so jealous hearts would not attack you. You silenced your dreams because you feared being misunderstood, rejected, or abandoned. But my child, I never created you to disappear inside rooms I personally sent you into. I made you to shine. I made you to stand tall. I made you to carry my light boldly into places darkness never expected you to enter. Before this message ends, you will finally understand why certain people walked away from your life. You will understand why you always felt different. You will understand why shrinking yourself never truly brought peace to your heart. And you will understand why I am now commanding you to stop apologizing for the light I placed inside you. Listen closely, because this word is not for everyone. This is for the one who secretly became exhausted from trying to stay small enough to keep others comfortable. This is for the one who constantly overthinks every word, every opinion, every dream, every success, because deep inside there is a fear that being fully seen will make people leave. My beloved child, I need you to hear me now. The people assigned to your destiny will never require you to become smaller in order to be loved. I know how many times you walked into rooms already preparing yourself to shrink. I saw how you carefully measured your personality around people. I saw how you held back your true thoughts because you feared conflict. I watched you dim your excitement, hide your intelligence, silence your talents, and lower your standards just to avoid making insecure people uncomfortable. You became so focused on preserving relationships that you slowly started abandoning yourself in the process. My child, that pain inside your heart did not come from being too much. It came from becoming less than who I created you to be. The enemy has spent years convincing you that your light was a problem. You whispered lies into your spirit saying, you need to tone yourself down. You need to stop standing out. You need to stop speaking so boldly. You need to stop dreaming so big. Slowly those lies shaped the way you moved through life. Instead of embracing the gifts I gave you, you began hiding them. Instead of standing confidently in the purpose I placed inside you, you became afraid of your own voice. You learned how to make yourself smaller in every environment because rejection wounded you deeply. But my chosen one, the rejection was never proof that you were wrong. The rejection was often proof that your spirit carried something those environments could not handle. There are people who only feel comfortable around you when you remain uncertain, insecure, quiet, and doubting yourself. As long as you stay small, they feel safe. As long as you question your worth, they feel powerful. As long as you suppress your gifts, they feel unchallenged. But the moment you begin walking confidently in who I created you to be, suddenly their discomfort appears. Suddenly their support changes. Suddenly they become distant, critical, cold, or intimidated. And because your heart feared abandonment, you blamed yourself for their reaction. But my child, not every person who leaves your life is a loss. Sometimes people walk away because your light exposes the darkness they worked hard to hide inside themselves. I need you to understand something important now. I did not place greatness inside you so you could spend your entire life hiding it. I did not breathe purpose into your soul so you could constantly apologize for existing boldly. I did not create your voice so you could bury it beneath fear. Heaven did not design you to become invisible. The reason you feel restless inside certain places is because your spirit recognizes when it is being forced into spaces too small for your calling. You keep trying to fit into rooms where you were actually sent to shine. You keep trying to earn acceptance from people who were never spiritually assigned to understand you fully. My child, I know why you became this way. I know the wounds you carry. I know how painful rejection felt in the past. I know there were moments when people mocked your ideas, ignored your heart, misunderstood your intentions, or abandoned you when you needed love the most. I know how deeply those experiences shaped your fear of being fully seen. So you learned survival. You learned how to become agreeable. You learned how to silence parts of yourself before others could reject them first. You learned how to carry your gifts quietly because being visible once felt dangerous emotionally. But my beloved child, survival is not the same as freedom. And I did not create you merely to survive through life hiding pieces of your soul. You wonder why you often feel emotionally drained around certain people. It is because constantly shrinking yourself requires exhausting energy. Pretending to be less than who you are slowly suffocates the soul. Every time you silence your truth to avoid rejection, your spirit feels the weight of that compromise. Every time you dim your light to protect someone else's comfort, your inner peace weakens a little more. And eventually you begin feeling disconnected from yourself because you have spent so much time becoming who others wanted instead of embracing who I created. The enemy fears what will happen once you stop shrinking. He fears the moment you finally realize your voice carries power. He fears the moment you stop begging for permission to exist confidently. He fears the moment you stop apologizing for your presence, your gifts, your boundaries, your wisdom, your compassion, your strength, and your calling. Because once you truly embrace the identity I gave you, insecurity will no longer control your decisions. Fear will no longer silence your purpose. Rejection will no longer determine your worth. Type Amen. Worship draws me closer if lifting your hands brings heaven near. My chosen one, I need you to hear this deeply in your spirit now. You are not difficult to love because you shine brightly. You are not too much because you carry strong purpose. You are not wrong for taking up space inside rooms I personally opened for you. Stop treating your light like a burden. Stop carrying shame over the very things heaven placed inside you intentionally. The gifts you carry were not accidents. Your sensitivity was not a mistake. Your wisdom was not random. Your dreams were not foolish. Your presence carries spiritual weight because I designed it that way. There are places I am preparing to send you where shrinking will no longer be possible. The season ahead requires boldness. It requires confidence rooted in me instead of human approval. It requires spiritual courage. I am opening doors that demand you walk in fully as the person I created you to become, not the smaller version fear created over years of rejection. That is why I am confronting this now before the next season begins. I cannot allow insecurity to continue stealing opportunities I prepared specifically for your destiny. The people who are truly assigned to your future will celebrate your growth instead of fearing it. They will recognize the light within you instead of trying to silence it. They will not require you to become weak so they can feel strong. Healthy relationships never demand self-erasure. Real love does not punish you for shining. Divine connections do not force you into constant emotional shrinking. Stop mourning people who only loved the smaller version of you. They were connected to your hiding season, not your rising season. My beloved child, I am calling you higher now. Stand tall emotionally. Stand tall spiritually. Stand tall mentally. Stop entering every room expecting rejection before you even speak. Stop assuming your presence is a problem. Stop apologizing for existing boldly inside the destiny I created for you. You were never built to disappear into the background forever. I formed you intentionally. I placed my light inside you intentionally. And now heaven is commanding you to stop shrinking for people who cannot handle what I personally placed within your spirit. This message is not random. It is your confirmation. The season of hiding your light is ending. The season of apologizing for your existence is ending. The season of fearing your own voice is ending. I did not build you small, my chosen one. I built you to carry my presence boldly into every space I send you into. My beloved child, I need you to sit with me for a moment and listen carefully because I am about to reveal something your heart has been struggling to admit for a very long time. You have been making yourself smaller to keep people comfortable around you. You have been shrinking your voice, your dreams, your personality, your gifts, your confidence, and even your joy because somewhere deep inside you became afraid that if people truly saw the fullness of who you are, they would reject you, misunderstand you, or walk away. My child, this pattern has wounded your spirit far more deeply than you realize. I watched you enter rooms already preparing to become less than yourself. Before conversations even began, you were already adjusting your energy, adjusting your words, adjusting your excitement, adjusting your opinions because you feared standing out too much. You became skilled at reading people's insecurities and immediately reducing yourself so they would not feel threatened by the light I placed inside you. You thought this would protect relationships. You thought this would create peace. But all it created was exhaustion inside your soul because you cannot continuously deny who I created you to be without damaging your own spirit in the process. You did not become this way overnight. This behavior was formed slowly through pain. There were moments in your past when your light attracted criticism instead of celebration. There were times when your excitement was mocked. Times when your voice was ignored. Times when your confidence triggered jealousy. Times when your gifts made insecure people uncomfortable. You learned very early that being fully visible often came with emotional consequences. So instead of risking rejection again, you began mastering the art of shrinking yourself before anyone else could try to shrink you first. I saw the moments when you stopped sharing your ideas because previous rejection made you doubt your voice. I saw how you held back your true personality around people because you feared appearing too much. I saw how often you pretended not to care about your dreams because secretly you were afraid someone would laugh at them. You became smaller emotionally so people would stay. You lowered your standards so others would not feel challenged. You acted less confident than you truly were because you feared making insecure people uncomfortable around you. My child, the pain inside you did not come from being too bright. It came from constantly forcing your light into spaces too small to receive it properly. Please support our channel. Our work is to bring happiness in your life and devotion to God. And if you want, you can donate to us, given link in description or pinned comment to show your support. The enemy hath been manipulating your fear of rejection for years. He knew if he could make you ashamed of your own light, he could delay your destiny without needing to destroy your gifts completely. All he needed was for you to hide them. All he needed was for you to doubt yourself enough to stay silent. All he needed was for you to become so focused on avoiding rejection that you would abandon your own identity willingly. And slowly, without fully realizing it, you began living smaller than the life I originally designed for you. You started apologizing for things you never needed to apologize for. Apologizing for speaking confidently. Apologizing for having boundaries. Apologizing for expressing emotions honestly. Apologizing for your success. Apologizing for your intelligence. Apologizing for your presence. Even when you walked into opportunities I personally prepared for you, part of you still felt guilty for taking up space because rejection had trained your mind to believe that shrinking was safer than shining. But my beloved child, shrinking never brought true peace to your heart because your spirit knows you were created for more. Every time you silenced yourself to protect someone else's comfort, something inside you felt heavy afterward. Every time you dimmed your excitement so insecure people would not feel intimidated, your soul felt tired. Every time you pretended to be less capable than you truly were, your confidence weakened little by little. And eventually you began feeling disconnected from your own identity because you spent so much energy becoming who others preferred instead of embracing who I created. There are people who benefited from your insecurity because it made them feel powerful. As long as you doubted yourself, they felt superior. As long as you remained uncertain, they felt comfortable. As long as you stayed hidden, they felt safe emotionally. But the moment you began healing, growing, speaking confidently, setting boundaries, or walking boldly in your gifts, their attitude shifted. Subtly tension appeared. Suddenly support became criticism. Subtly distance entered the relationship. And because your heart feared abandonment, you blamed yourself for their discomfort instead of recognizing the deeper truth. Some people only felt comfortable around the wounded version of you. My child, not everyone who leaves your life is rejecting you. Some are simply reacting to the fact that you are no longer willing to shrink yourself for their comfort. There are relationships built upon imbalance. Relationships where one person remains small so the other can feel large. Relationships where insecurity quietly controls the emotional environment. And the moment healing begins inside one person, the relationship becomes uncomfortable because the old dynamic can no longer survive growth. That is why certain people became distant when you started finding your confidence again. I know how painful this realization feels because your heart genuinely wanted acceptance. You wanted peace. You wanted connection. You wanted people to love the full version of who you are. But many times you settled for conditional acceptance instead. Acceptance that only existed while you remained quiet enough, weak enough, insecure enough, or hidden enough to keep everyone else comfortable emotionally. My beloved child, conditional acceptance is not true love. Real love never demands self-erasure. Divine relationships do not require you to disappear in order to belong. The enemy wanted you trapped in constant self-monitoring, overthinking every word, overanalyzing every interaction, constantly wondering whether you were too much for people. But I never intended for your life to be controlled by fear of human opinion. You cannot fulfill divine purpose while remaining imprisoned by people-pleasing. Your destiny requires freedom. Your calling requires courage. The future I prepared for you cannot fully unfold while insecurity still controls your voice. You also became skilled at minimizing your pain because you feared burdening others emotionally. Even when your heart was breaking, you often pretended you were fine. You learned how to carry heavy emotions quietly because somewhere along the way you started believing your needs were inconvenient. But my child, I never created you to suffer silently while constantly prioritizing everyone else's comfort above your own emotional well-being. Your heart matters too. Your voice matters too. Your healing matters too. I know there were moments when you looked in the mirror and no longer recognized yourself completely because shrinking became such a normal survival habit. You became so focused on maintaining acceptance that you forgot what it felt like to exist freely without fear. But hear me clearly now. I am not calling you into another season of hiding. I am calling you back into alignment with your true identity. The version of you constantly apologizing for existing is not the version I originally created. My beloved child, you were never designed to fit into every environment. Some rooms were always going to misunderstand your light because your presence carries spiritual weight. Some people were always going to feel challenged by your growth because your healing exposes what they continue avoiding inside themselves. But their discomfort is not proof that you should become smaller. It is often proof that you have outgrown environments built around insecurity and fear. The season ahead requires you to stop abandoning yourself emotionally just to keep temporary relationships alive. It requires you to stop silencing your gifts out of fear of rejection. It requires you to stop entering rooms already expecting your light to become a problem. I did not place greatness inside your spirit so you could spend your life hiding from it. I did not create your voice so fear could silence it forever. I did not call you chosen so you could live constantly shrinking beneath the opinions of insecure people. You are exhausted because shrinking requires constant emotional labor. Pretending to be less than who you are drains the soul deeply. But freedom begins when you finally stop apologizing for the light heaven intentionally placed inside you. And my child, that freedom is exactly where I am leading you now. My beloved child, before the world ever spoke its opinions over your life, before rejection ever wounded your heart, before fear ever taught you to hide pieces of yourself, I already knew exactly who you were created to become. I formed you intentionally. I did not create you weak, invisible, voiceless, or insignificant. I never designed you to spend your life shrinking inside environments that could not recognize the light I placed within you. I built you with purpose. I built you with strength. I built you with spiritual authority. And now I need you to remember who you truly are because the world has spent too long convincing you to forget. You keep looking at yourself through the eyes of people who misunderstood you. You keep measuring your worth according to the reactions of those who were never spiritually mature enough to recognize your value properly. My child, stop allowing wounded people to define your identity. Stop allowing rejection to write what heaven already declared about you before you were born. I did not create you accidentally. Every part of your personality, every gift, every dream, every sensitivity, every strength, every detail of your spirit was placed inside you with divine intention. There are things within you that cannot fully bloom while you remain trapped in fear. Your voice carries wisdom. Your presence carries peace. Your heart carries compassion. Your spirit carries discernment. Your mind carries creativity. Your life carries purpose far beyond what you currently understand. But fear convinced you these things were dangerous to reveal openly. So instead of embracing what I gave you, you learned how to hide it beneath insecurity and self-doubt. Yet no matter how much you tried shrinking yourself, something deep inside always remained restless because your spirit knows you were created for more than emotional hiding. I never built you to enter rooms silently hoping nobody notices you. I built you to carry my light confidently wherever I send you. I never designed you to constantly seek permission to exist boldly. I never intended for you to feel guilty every time your gifts became visible. My beloved child, heaven does not apologize for purpose. The stars do not apologize for shining at night. The sun does not apologize for rising brightly each morning. And you were never meant to apologize for the light I personally placed inside your soul. The enemy worked hard to make you believe that confidence was pride. He wanted you afraid of your own strength. He wanted you uncomfortable with your own voice. He wanted you questioning your own value constantly because insecurity keeps people spiritually small even when greatness already lives inside them. But confidence rooted in me is not arrogance. Walking boldly in your calling is not pride. Embracing the gifts I gave you is not selfishness. I did not place purpose inside you so you could spend your entire life pretending it does not exist. You became so used to hiding your light that sometimes you no longer recognize how powerful your presence truly is. But my child, people feel your spirit before you even speak. The peace you carry affects environments. The wisdom inside you shifts conversations. The compassion within your heart comforts wounded people quietly. The discernment I placed inside you sees things others overlook. Even your survival through difficult seasons carries testimony that encourages people without you fully realizing it. Your life has impact far beyond what fear allowed you to believe. I know there were times when people made you feel too much, too emotional, too passionate, too deep, too different, too intense, too ambitious, too sensitive, too honest, too bold. But listen carefully now because this truth matters deeply. You were never too much for the people assigned by heaven to truly walk beside you. The wrong environments always struggle with authentic light because light exposes what darkness once hidden. Your presence disturbed certain people not because something was wrong with you, but because something inside them became uncomfortable around truth, healing, growth, or authenticity. My beloved child, I created you to influence atmospheres, not disappear inside them. I created you to bring light into darkness, not become darkness just to fit in more easily. You cannot fulfill your divine purpose while constantly trying to reduce yourself emotionally for the comfort of insecure people. The version of you that stays silent to avoid rejection is not the version I designed. The version of you constantly second-guessing your worth is not the version heaven recognizes. Fear has covered your confidence for too long, but your true identity still exists beneath every wound rejection created. Do you realize how often you doubted yourself unnecessarily? You questioned your gifts because others could not understand them. You questioned your worth because certain people failed to value you correctly. You questioned your purpose because your journey looked different than the journeys around you. But my child, uniqueness is not failure. Difference is not weakness. Being set apart does not mean being less valuable. In fact, many times what makes you feel isolated now is connected directly to the calling placed upon your life. There are spaces I am preparing for your future where your voice will matter deeply. There are people waiting for wisdom you already carry. There are broken hearts that will find healing through the compassion I developed inside you during painful seasons. There are environments waiting for the light you have spent years hiding. But if you continue believing you were created to stay small, you will struggle stepping fully into the assignments I prepared ahead of you. I did not create your gifts accidentally. Your creativity was intentional. Your sensitivity was intentional. Your leadership ability was intentional. Your discernment was intentional. Your hunger for deeper meaning was intentional. Your refusal to fully settle into shallow environments was intentional. Everything about you was shaped carefully by my hands long before fear taught you to hide those parts of yourself. The reason shrinking never satisfied your spirit is because your soul remembers its original design. Deep inside you know there is more within you than what fear currently allows you to express openly. That restlessness you feel whenever you suppress yourself is your spirit recognizing misalignment. Your soul becomes weary whenever you continuously deny the fullness of who I created you to be. Because freedom only begins when you finally stop apologizing for your existence and start embracing your identity fully through my eyes instead of through the opinions of wounded people. My beloved child, stop treating your light like a problem to manage. Stop carrying shame over your gifts. Stop shrinking your dreams to match the limitations of fearful environments. Stop believing you need to become less in order to deserve love. I never built you small. I never designed you to hide behind insecurity forever. I built you with strength capable of surviving storms. I built you with purpose capable of influencing lives. I built you with spiritual authority capable of carrying my presence boldly into difficult places. The world may have tried to reduce you, silence you, or misunderstand you, but heaven still remembers exactly who you are. And now I am calling that identity forward again. No more hiding. No more constant self-erasure. No more shrinking your voice every time fear appears. The season ahead requires boldness because the places I am taking you cannot be entered through insecurity. You must remember what I placed inside you from the beginning. My chosen one, stand tall now. Lift your head again. Stop entering life as if your presence requires apology. You belong in every room I assign to your destiny. You belong in every opportunity I open before you. You belong in every space where my favor leads you. I did not build you small, my child. I built you to shine with my light openly, boldly, and without fear. My beloved child, I know how deeply rejection has wounded your heart. I know there are moments from your past that still replay quietly inside your mind even now. Moments when people misunderstood you, ignored you, abandoned you, mocked you, replaced you, or walked away from you without explanation. Those experiences left scars deeper than most people around you ever realized. And because the pain stayed unresolved for so long, you slowly began believing the rejection must have meant something was wrong with you. But my child, listen to me carefully now because this truth is important for your healing. The rejection was not your failure. You spent years blaming yourself for things that were never your responsibility to carry. Every time someone became distant, you questioned your worth. Every time someone pulled away, you searched yourself for flaws. Every time relationships changed unexpectedly, you immediately assumed you had done something wrong. Your heart became trapped in constant self-examination because rejection trained you to believe that losing people always meant you were not enough somehow. But my beloved child, many people walked away from you not because you lacked value, but because your spirit carried a depth they were never prepared to handle. Some people only knew how to love the version of you that remained insecure, quiet, uncertain, and emotionally dependent upon their approval. As long as you questioned yourself constantly, they felt comfortable. As long as you stayed small emotionally, they felt safe. But the moment healing started happening inside you, the relationship became difficult for them. The moment your confidence slowly began returning, tension appeared. The moment you started setting boundaries, speaking honestly, or recognizing your own worth, their behavior shifted. And because rejection had already wounded your heart deeply, You immediately assumed their discomfort meant you were becoming too much, but my child, growth always reveals who was connected to your wounds and who is truly connected to your destiny. I need you to understand something clearly now. Not everyone who enters your life is assigned to remain forever. Some people are temporary teachers. Some are mirrors revealing wounds still hidden inside your spirit. Some expose areas where healing still needs to happen. Some relationships exist only for specific seasons. But your pain came from expecting permanence from people who were only assigned temporarily. And when they left, you interpreted the ending as proof that you were unlovable instead of recognizing that seasons simply changed. There were also moments when people rejected your light because it exposed their own darkness internally. Your honesty confronted their deception. Your growth confronted their stagnation. Your healing confronted the pain they continued avoiding. Your confidence confronted their insecurity. And instead of confronting themselves honestly, it became easier for them to distance themselves from you instead. But my child, another person's inability to handle your light does not mean your light is wrong. The enemy used rejection strategically because he understood how sensitive your heart was. He knew painful experiences could eventually make you fear visibility altogether. He wanted rejection to silence your voice before your purpose fully emerged. He wanted you so afraid of abandonment that you would spend your life constantly shrinking yourself emotionally for the comfort of others. Because a person afraid of rejection often abandons themselves before anyone else has the chance to reject them first. And slowly, without fully realizing it, you began sacrificing your authenticity just to avoid emotional pain. You became overly careful with your words, overly cautious with your dreams, overly anxious about how others perceive you. You learned how to monitor yourself constantly because somewhere inside you believed being fully seen would eventually lead to heartbreak again. But my beloved child, you cannot build real connection while hiding your true self continuously. Relationships built upon self-erasure eventually exhaust the soul because your spirit was never created to survive through constant emotional suppression. I know some rejections broke your heart deeply because you genuinely loved those people. You gave loyalty. You gave patience. You gave understanding. You gave compassion. You gave second chances repeatedly. And still, some people chose to leave anyway. That pain confused you because your heart believed love should have been enough to make them stay. But my child, not everyone is capable of receiving healthy love correctly. Some people carry wounds they refuse to heal. Some people sabotage good things because dysfunction feels more familiar than peace. Some people fear growth because healing threatens identities they built around brokenness. And sometimes people walk away not because you failed them, but because they are unable to follow where I am leading you next. There were relationships you desperately wanted me to restore, but I allowed separation because staying connected would have slowly destroyed your peace, your confidence, or your spiritual growth. You cried over losing certain people while heaven quietly protected your future through the separation. You saw heartbreak, but I saw rescue. You saw abandonment, but I saw redirection. You saw loss, but I saw the beginning of freedom from environments that no longer aligned with your destiny. My beloved child, rejection also revealed how deeply you were depending on human acceptance for identity. Every painful goodbye forced hidden insecurities to surface. You realized how much your confidence depended upon being chosen, desired, included, understood, or approved by others emotionally. And while those realizations hurt deeply, they also became opportunities for healing. Because your identity was never meant to rest in unstable human approval. Human emotions change. Human loyalty fluctuates. Human understanding remains limited. But my love for you never shifts according to mood, convenience, insecurity, or fear. The people who were truly assigned by heaven to walk beside you will never require you to become smaller in order to remain connected. Healthy relationships do not punish growth. Healthy love does not fear healing. Divine connections celebrate the light within you instead of trying to silence it. The right people will not become uncomfortable every time you step closer to your purpose. They will recognize the hand of God upon your life and support your growth instead of secretly resenting it. Comment Amen. Scripture is my strength if the Word of God feeds your soul daily. And share this video.